Hey, good evening, folks. It's Steve Cap, IFJUF. Hope everyone's having a good weekend out there so far. Today, what I want to talk about is something I've got going on. It's been kind of going on in the background, but what I'm doing is I'm giving Morse code a second try, and I'm going to take a different approach to it, a musical approach versus dots and dashes. So what I wanted to go over today was some of the previous attempts I've had and some of the failures I've had, lessons learned, quick review, and of course a solution for a quick and easy straight key from MFJ that you can also use with the 991A and generate some interest. In my first attempt, I was excited and eager, to learn and, get this done as soon as possible. I figured how difficult could it be? Some of the common pitfalls I ran into were trying to learn the dot and the dash patterns, not the melody. Listening to too slow of a tone or recordings, 5 to 10 words per minute, and unable to pick up the rhythm. It was just a series of dots and dashes that ended up all coming together into a mess of unrecognizable characters. And in lack of a better word, some of my guys at the breakfast, we call them a train wreck. You have all these dots and dashes, and they end up a train wreck, and you have no idea what the message was. So trying to learn from, looking at a sheet was also really, really not very productive. But one of the things I did do is I managed to get this little CD set from the ARRL, and what I did was I loaded it into iTunes and I created playlists. So for example, I have playlists for C, D, E, F, and G, and in those playlists, what I do here is I have another playlist and I just repeat the same lesson over and over and over. So if you have iTunes or an iPhone, you can, take this here and import it as a CD, and then you can create these individual playlists. And of course, in these playlists, you just play these lessons over and over. I think I've got like 10 lessons in each one of the playlists. So this gives me a fundamental basis. The problem with this whole lesson is at some point you start to memorize all the answers and all the code. So it doesn't really become a challenge anymore because you know key and jack and packet and chassis, you know all those words. So it doesn't really help you other than just okay, it's more memorization, but it's a good base build. So that's the way I look at it. So I've started looking at this from a different approach. From my second attempt to learn Morse code, my new approach is based on how musicians and how musicians, I think, learn instruments or music. My takeaways, I'm not an instrument musician, but I have a lot of guys out there I just love to listen to, guitar players and so forth. So one of my favorite guitar players is Alex Lifeson. He's with the rock band Rush. I've enjoyed listening to this group, Geddy Lee on bass, and of course Neil Peart, rest in peace, on drums since I was a teenager. These guys were amazing. I just thought they were so incredible. Three guys could make such great music. In many of the videos I've watched, I've learned there is a common thread I hear from musicians such as Alex, and that is that they love to listen to music and they start at a very young age. Of course, I'm not young, but that's okay. They usually start with some simple instrument, and this begins them on their building block, learning some musical chords, and this is kind of a foundation that they build on. They might learn a piano or some violin or something, but it's a building block to take them further. And of course, a key to success in these musicians is their ability to listen and hear the melodies, patterns, and remember them. And that's what I'm kind of figuring out with Morse code. So of course, this is the video here that I did. I'll put the link down here. This is one of the ones that Alex did. I really enjoyed watching. Talked about some of his younger days when he was young and so forth. Anyway, those guys are amazing. Lessons learned and new plans. So with this new insight from musicians, I've started a different approach that is very different from my last attempt. So no more slow dots or dashes, no more trying to use the printed text. My new approach is to adopt what's called the Koch method for learning Morse code using no slower than 16 words per minute but 18 words per minute is best. You might ask, is it possible to ever understand anything at 18 words per minute? What's different now is you're not listening to the dots and the dashes, you're listening to the music. I've been doing this for about 2 weeks, 30 minutes a day, and now I can start to say, I can hear the rhythms of the melody and my brain can see the letter, not the dots and the dashes. And I believe this is where the transformation starts. I hear a tone, I hear a music, I hear a boop, doo 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 or da da da. I see a letter. I see a letter pop into my head. No dots or dashes, and I think that's important. The apps I've used are Morse app is one good app. Morse Elmer's one I've started using, and Koch Trainer. Those are the three I like to use on my phone. The Koch method is very, very disciplined. It starts you out, for example, with K and M, and I think it will take you to R's, the next letter that it will introduce. But what I find is this is really a good approach. K is a very difficult one for me. K and R are very, very difficult for me, but I'm starting to be able to bring those out when I hear those. But that's kind of where they start. But they're very disciplined and they have multiple lessons. And of course, each one of these apps, I think the Morse Elmer was like 99 cents. And this may have been 99 cents. I can't remember, but I downloaded it. And again, you can program 18 words per minute. Typically 20 minutes is what I use. The pitch I like to use is 775, 750 is the pitch, yeah, there's the same pitch there, frequency. So these are just things that you can use on your iPhone, and I've learned that when I'm in the airport, when I'm on the airplane, I use these all the time. I just, instead of watching a movie on the airplane on American Airlines now, I just listen to Morse code. And it's getting to the point now where it's no longer irritating to listen to, it's more pleasant. At first, it was very irritating because it was kind of like doo 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 doo. It was just like your mind would just go to mush. But now that you can start to understand some of these letters at 18 words per minute, it's no longer a fatigue or frustration more. It's more of a enjoyment because now you can extract a letter here, a letter there. So, at first it's kind of tough, but over and over it will get easier. Another thing, dude, this kind of shows you here how we did the playlist here. I created a playlist, and each one of the playlists I had different letters and so forth. This is a website I use called the CW generator, and I'll give you a quick demo on this. What I do here is I can actually type in code here and actually play it back. And you can also actually export it as a WAV file. So if you want to make some custom code, for example, and export it as a WAV file, you can take that WAV file and import it right back into iTunes, and you can, play it over. So, 991A, what's different about CW is you have a built-in BFO, beat frequency oscillator. And of course, this is used to generate a tone. The tone is an audible frequency, usually between 550 and 850. This tone is, of course, referred to as the pitch on the radio. The band spread on the tone is very narrow compared to voice and single sideband and FM, so travel distance is very far. The frequency showing on your radio when you're on the 991A is the frequency you are transmitting on, and the other station transmitting on or near you can fine-tune your frequency to be on the exact frequency using the Zen button. What happens is you are using a tone of 750 hertz. As you tune up or down, you just adjust to the other station's tone, and your tone cancels each other out. So these are things I'll show you how to do once we get in the radio, but this is just kind of a quick review. And I'll show you here where this tone generator is too. The last thing I want to show you is I took the MFJ 557 and I modified it with a double pole, double throw switch, and I added a cable. And what I ended up doing was I wired a schematic here. So what I did, I added a double pole, double throw switch right here. Now this allows me to switch between using the keyer on this MFJ device. I can either key the actual MFJ device, or in an alternate configuration, if I throw the switch, I can actually key the 991A. So that's one of the things I'll show you. This is just kind of a quick thing I had done just because I was kind of too cheap to go buy a key, and I just decided to take this training key and put a double pole, double throw switch in there. This here shows you some of the wiring configurations here. If you have any questions on this, this is the wiring configurations here. Let me see, I thought I had the cable. Yeah, here's the cable also. If you want to get the cable, you can get this cable right here. And this is where I got it from here, from Micro Center. So if you want to do that. And I'll do a video, I'll show you how all this works on the radio. But again, my plan is to start having 2-meter CW nets. I'm looking to do this maybe on Friday or Saturday nights and start with the very basics of making a CQ call and just getting on the air, practicing some very short QSOs. I'm looking at maybe, in the range of 144 to 144.50, maybe I think I may start with 144.25 with a tone of 750 hertz CU, which is CW upper sideband mode. And of course, another aspect of the software, I've used Ham Radio Deluxe DM780 in the past, and now I'm considering maybe FL Rig or FL Digi. Does anyone have any details or recommendations? I haven't decided yet. I'm not sure if I want to go back down that road with Ham Radio Deluxe. It's a great program, but it's very, very intense, and it is pretty heavy on the microprocessor and stuff, which I've got new computers and stuff, but I've been down that road with them, so we're just looking at some possibilities. All right, the last thing is long distance contacts. What would be really cool, I'm in Abilene, so I'm thinking if I could get other stations, 40, 60 miles away, I don't think I could make a voice contact with them, but I could make a CW contact. So that would be kind of cool because CW Morse code will travel much further than voice will. So lastly, this is this is kind of my little message here, CQ. This is typically what a CW contact might look like to a station. Receive signal report, QTH is Abilene, weather's hot, WX, SK is over and out. So this is just one I kind of made up here real quick. So anyway, more videos to come. I'll post you on my updates as I'm learning Morse code. If any of you guys are in the Texas area, Abilene area, that are interested in doing Morse code QSOs with me, or practicing, let me know. I'd love to hook up with you because I think this would just be something that would be pretty cool. So anyway, I'm still, only maybe a couple of weeks into this, so I'll keep you posted. But I just wanted to share with you a new discovery, and maybe it might help if you're curious and want to learn CW, this might help you, might give you something else to think about. All right, guys, thanks again for watching from KI5JUF, and appreciate you watching, and thanks again.